Guys, today I just to take a moment to kind of touch on some subjects that a lot of people have been asking, and that is what property to rehab. This is a sensitive subject to some. I would say the main priority that you need to look at when you go look at any property is one, cost versus benefit analysis. Okay. If it's gonna cost way too much for you to rehab this, basically evaluating and saying, okay, how much does it cost to rehab versus building a new property? And there's a lot of properties out of the scrape and rebuild, which those are probably not going to be your best bang the buck, so to speak. Those are your high risk properties that are potential for failure, and potential that you're not going to get what you need out of that property, and it's just going to be an overall disaster, if that makes any sense. So you gotta when you're going in, you gotta make sure you pay attention to looking at it and say, okay, look, do I want to just be a real estate investor into an investment property that needs literally everything? Now, some people say, you know what? It's worth it to me because I have crews, I have materials, I have stuff left over that is, but you look at properties and say, "Ew, what is it going to take to rehab this? What is it going to take as far as cost, time, personnel, all of these things prior to making that call to pull the trigger on it?" There's a that'll be eager to get out there and put something under contract because they think they're going to lose the deal. Well, at the end of the day, you kind of got to pay attention to, what first, is that property worth it? So that's one thing. Um, Assessing the condition of the property is huge. There's a lot of times where clients will go into a property thinking that it doesn't need a lot, not paying attention or doing a deep dive into the structure and the structural consideration of the property, not looking for termite damage, not doing termite inspections, not doing your due diligence. Look, sometimes you got to. I know in this industry we're moving fast, fast, fast because it's an investment, and hold fast. But during that time that you're working with your lender, you've got to take the time to due diligence to ensure that you're in a property that makes sense for you. If it doesn't make sense, then it's at no cost benefits to you once you open up a wall and you find that there's incredible amount of termite damage and you've got to rip half the back of the house off. It just happened to one of my clients a few months ago. His cost went up 40% because and it was going to be a quick in and out $30,000-$40,000 rehab. Instead, it turned to 70,000. So these are things that you got to pay attention to. You've got to, during the time that you're working with your lender, preparing for closing, you've got to, whatever you do, get somebody you trust, whether it be a contractor, get your termite inspections done, do whatever it takes to ensure that you're getting into a solid investment. Skipping on rehab cost. This is huge. Yes, you have to understand that you may be able to do the property for, let's say, $30,000, but you've got to pay attention to what it would cost a normal contractor or let's say worst case scenario that the lender has to take that property back. You can't skimp on your cost. Now, again, trying to make a deal work, trying to make it fit. That's where your relationship with your lender comes into play. And relationship, I've said it since day one, is the biggest thing that's going to make you successful in this industry. So paying attention to those numbers and paying attention to the fact that, hey, I can get it done for 30, but your lender can't. A lender, in worst case scenario, is going to take that property back and be able to get it done for higher cost because they don't have the resources that you do. So always remember that when you're backing into your number, to back into the realistic repair amount, because that's important. That's very important, because the deeper you buy the property, the more you can max out on values on when you either A, sell the property, or B, refinance it and get your cash out at that point in time. These are just a few things that I think that everybody should pay attention. Over, I want you to listen to me. Over rehabbing the property for the current condition of the market that property sits in. I've got some clients out there that have called me and said, Rob, what do you think about adding a second story to this? And I look around the whole neighborhood. There's no two-story houses in the whole neighborhood. And it's a 1960s house, brick house. Just need to go in and rehab it and put it back on the market. You get overzealous with your thoughts of maximizing your potential when there's nothing else in that market for that. Yes, it's great to get creative and what can I do with this? But you got to look around and see, what does that market demand? Adding on, like, your market in some of these areas is going to top out at square footage. So it makes no sense to add on, because your add-on square footage is only going to give you so much in value based upon what's in that MLS area or in that market area. And you got to pay attention to that. Some investors say, well, if I add on 500 square feet, well, nothing else is being added on in that area. And you're not getting your max value out of that. So that's huge to pay attention to. In as far as benefit over cost, hey, yeah, it's a great idea, but go find an area where people are adding on and doing a value add at that point in time. And then you're going to maximize your potential there. Not a 1,300 square feet and everything in your market is 1,200 to 1,300 square feet. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense to put 500 square feet on that house, and you're not in a great area to do that. That's just an example. Maybe not the greatest example, but it's an example of what not to do. Busy streets. Look, guys, you gotta pay attention to busy streets. It's a killer for any investor or any investment property. It will bite you in the butt. Busy streets are probably the Achilles heel of any investment. It's not going to make a great rental. It's not going to make a great residential sale. So you got to buy those deep. You got to. Your ARV could be in that neighborhood. It could be anywhere from, let's say, 400,000 if it's not on a busy street. Well, you got to at least take 25 to 30% off of that ARV to get your actual ARV of the one on a busy street. One thing most people will argue is like, well, people still live there. Yeah, but you got to go pay attention to the demographics of the people that live there. I guarantee you they don't have. They do. They're ultra careful with those dogs and children, and it's just dangerous. Would you want you got to ask yourself this: would you want your kids playing in a front yard where traffic is zooming by at 40 miles an hour? They're outside playing ball. No, Oh, well, we got the backyard. I mean, this day and time, most kids play outside. Let's be honest, or at least we try to get them to go play outside. Um, and they don't want to be in the backyard. They want to be outside in the front yard where all their kids are playing. So that automatically knocks that market out of the loop for you. You're not going to get your bang versus your buck on that. It's just it's not going to happen. So you got to pay attention to that as well. Uh, oh, historical districts, man, those can be huge, huge when you are looking at rehabbing something that is marked in a historical district. You've got to be in compliance with what the city wants, while trying to maximize your profit. You can't change a lot of stuff on the outside of those properties, because of the fact that you know it's it's marked in a historical district, and that right there can be very, very costly. And it's got to be rehabbed a certain way, which you know again, you're going to have the city bring the whole time making sure you're doing that. You dang sure don't want that headache. Now, sometimes they've got a lot of benefits because some people want that historical feel and want those type of homes. The resale is really good on those. It's just you got to pay attention to your added cost and your added market value that those historical districts are going to be at. So paying attention to that is huge. Um, One thing that most people need to do is get professional advice, whether it's through a mentor, a lender, somebody that's been doing this for a very, very long time. You call Jet Lending, call myself. My phone numbers are at the bottom. We'll be more than happy to say, hey, look, let us take a look at it. Let our experts, myself, Eddie, uh, Johnny, all of us here at Jet Lending, take a look at your property and see if this is a good home run for you. Guys, we've been in business for 20 years now. January 1st was 20 years. You don't stay in business for 20 years not knowing and learning your craft and understanding what the market does and the market trends and paying attention to that. It, right now, I'd say we're in a soft, not cold, but a softer market than we were 2, 3 years ago. So it's taking longer for properties to sell. It's taking longer in certain areas for properties to move at all. And it's just funny that way. People are not going out right now and buying a crap ton. I mean, not a crap ton, but a very, very expensive homes because they're sitting longer. Now there is your people out there that just don't care and that's where they want to live, and greatest advice, they'll buy it now and refinance when the rate drops. Look, don't be afraid to buy real estate just because the interest rates are so-called high. Right now, they're coming down. And from what we hear, 2024 is supposed to be a good year for interest rates to start falling, is what we've heard. There's no definites, but guys, you can't be afraid to jump into the market just because the interest rates are a little elevated from what they were. Historically, they're still on a normal trend historically. So, you got a loan officer telling you this, but anybody will tell you this as a smart investor. You buy the house and you date the rate. You date the rate. And the rate goes down, you refinance. It's simple as that. So you got to pay attention to what the market trends are doing. The last thing I would urge you to do is if you don't know how to rehab a house and it's your first time, partner with somebody. Partner with somebody that knows what they're doing. Get you a mentor that knows what they're doing. If you need help with that, I got you. I've got a Rolodex full of people right here in this phone that will tell you exactly how to get the job done. I've got people we reach out to all the time, and know that we've got your back no matter what. We're going to take care of you. So at the end of the day, make sure you're paying attention to, what to rehab, what not to rehab. Main thing I'm going to leave you with is, guys, if it's a tear down, and you look at it and you know it's a tear it down. Or let somebody else tear it down. You don't want to be stuck with that hassle, okay? That's about it. Guys, you contact me at rob@jetlending.com, or you can call me at 903-806-4400. My office line is 832-871-4116. They all ring to this phone 24/7, night and day. Don't worry about it. I got your back. I will help you figure out how and what to rehab. That's it for today. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon.